Well, I'm glad you're here watching my video on YouTube. The fact is, I don't know how long this will be up, since YouTube has decided to start censoring me and pulling down my videos. But don't worry, you can watch this video on rumble.com/RandPaul, where I post all of my content. Love to see you over at rumble.com.
Joining me right now is Kentucky Senator, Foreign Relations and Homeland Security Committee member, Senator Rand Paul. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. And I know that you have gone back and forth with Anthony Fauci, who I believe misled us or lied under oath. What do you make of him saying that the migrants coming over the border is a different situation than anybody else coming into America facing these rules?
Well, I think he tried to imply as if there is massive testing of people coming across the border illegally, and I think it's actually the exception, not the rule. I think we are having thousands of people crossing our border that are not being tested, and I think the problem of people coming in on planes pales in comparison to the lawlessness of the southern border of people coming across. So I think he's just wrong on the facts, but this is not unusual for him. But even when he's wrong, he still has a pronouncement to make. We're going to, by golly, test people and quarantine people. But the thing is the hysteria now over this new variant is a little bit premature. I think we should try to find out if it's going to be more deadly or less deadly. If it turns out that it's less deadly, it may mean that we don't need to increase the things we're doing as we already are doing as far as mitigation. But I don't think the testing at the border on the planes will reduce this. I don't think bans actually, frankly, work. I think they'll devastate the travel industry. But I think in the end, the virus does what it wants to do. The only thing that slows the virus down are vaccinations and natural immunity. And the thing we should be doing, or that Fauci ought to be doing, is addressing the fact that if we need a new vaccine, the government should speed up the approval of it. We've had a Delta variant vaccine out there for several months. Nobody seems to be taking any kind of, creating any kind of haste to get to a new vaccine. And that's really what government should do, is try to get out of the way of therapeutics, drugs, and or new vaccines.
Well, you make a lot of really important points there. On natural immunity, this administration will not acknowledge natural immunity. There have been reports, as well as a study from Israel, that says that if you actually had COVID, you may have higher antibodies against this disease than the vaccine. So why isn't this administration acknowledging natural immunity? And the other point that you made in terms of all of these new restrictions that we're going to face, we've heard from the CEOs of Moderna, as well as Regeneron, as well as this administration, who said we're going to learn more about Omicron in the next 2 weeks. So why do we have a plan today when we don't even know what the Omicron variant is telling us?
Fauci's ignoring of natural immunity will probably go down in history as the worst public health decision made probably in a generation or more, if not ever. Because in doing so, he ignores over 100 million Americans who have immunity, which is equally as good as the vaccine. Many of these people are doctors, many of them are nurses, many of them are policemen and firemen. And the Biden administration is simply going to say they're yesterday's trash, we're going to fire you. But they're also, by ignoring the people who have natural immunity, thinking that we're under-immunized. The statistics are actually overwhelmingly positive for the people who've chosen to be immunized. Over age 65 is close to 95% of people over 65. When do you ever have 95% of people in a country, in a free country, agree to something? That's an overwhelming success. Over age 50, well over 80% of people now have been vaccinated. So this push to force vaccination on children is misguided, but mostly because Fauci won't tell the truth about natural immunity, which added to vaccines really shows that we are doing a good job with trying to prevent spread of this disease.
So what about all these new restrictions that we're getting from Joe Biden later today, when we still don't have details on what the Omicron means?
You know, I think it's the same proclivity that most Democrats have to control your life, whether it's your business or whether it's your medical health. Their first reaction, their gut reaction, as soon as they hear something, we must act, we must do something. But it's usually to control your behavior, to tell you you can't do this in your business or your restaurant or your hotel, or to tell you you can't travel. And the thing is this is devastating to the world. Think of all the people in our country who say the heck with it. I'm just not going to travel overseas. I'm not going to Europe. I'm not going to the Caribbean. I'm not going to any of these places because I don't want to be poked and prodded by every government under the sun. So this is really devastating to the world, and ultimately it's wrong-headed and not really based on science at all.
Senator, before you go, what's the story on the debt ceiling and the potential for a shutdown of the federal government? Some Republican senators are considering allowing the government to shut down in an effort to stop these COVID-19 vaccine mandates, saying that the mandates are forcing people to choose between their jobs and their beliefs. What are your thoughts? I know you have, 12 legislative days left in the year. Will the government stay open, funded, or will we see a shutdown? And what else will get done?
Well, I have a little bit different take on this. When we passed the last spending bill in September, we knew this date was coming. The Democrats have done nothing. They've not introduced a spending bill, and I don't even think it's passed the House yet. And so they're going to do it on the last day. Well, things in the Senate take about a week to pass, and that's the normal procedure around here. And that includes amendments. If they want to force it through with no amendments and they want to do it in a short period of time, they have to have unanimous consent. Well, a lot of us don't consent to just because the Democrats are incompetent and haven't brought it forward that we should speed up time to let them spend more money that is bankrupting our country. The debt ceiling's the same way. We moved the debt ceiling back 2 months, about a month ago or so. It's going to be coming up in the next week or two. They've had plenty of time to go to committee, to do all the things they need to do it through reconciliation. Instead, they're going to wait to the last minute and ask people like me who are dead set against raising the debt ceiling. They can say, oh, can you pretty please speed it up and let only Democrats pass this? No. If they want to raise the debt ceiling, they ought to do it. They've had plenty of time to do it. This is all on Democrats. It's their incompetence in getting anything done. These people couldn't run a 7-Eleven, much less the government.
Well, I mean, here we are forced to pay up for all everyday items because inflation was stoked because of bad policy. And there's no accountability. They're just pushing through their new $5 trillion reconciliation plan. And there's no accountability for Fauci. Look, we know that he lied under oath. Will there be any accountability for lying to your face?
We've referred him to the Department of Justice, but then again, Merrick Garland is the one now going after parents that go to school board meetings. So I don't have a lot of hope that he is actually going to be objectively looking at Fauci's lying. But Fauci should go to prison for 5 years for lying to Congress. They've prosecuted other people. They've selectively gone after Republicans. But in no way will they do anything about him lying. But he should be prosecuted for lying. But at the very least, he should be taken out of his position because I think he costs people lives through misinformation. Every time he tells people, oh, wear a cloth mask, he's actually endangering people. If you're around someone with COVID, you don't want to wear a cloth mask because they don't work.
Wow. That's a really important point that you make. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Senator Rand Paul joining us this morning. We'll see you soon, sir. Thank you.